Welcome to the Chill Chats. I'm Ashley Rose,
And I'm Jenna.
and we are two halves of a chronic shit show.
Today, we are going to dive into Ashleigh's diagnosis story.
It's a juicy one, I promise.
It is.
But first, we're going to do our rose and thorn. So, Jenna, do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm going to start with my thorn first.
Uh
But
huh.
as I'm in the beginning of my second semester of grad school, I am just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with figuring out my schedule and assignments and everything like that. But I know it will get better
Naturally.
with time. And then for my rose, I finished my hand knitting blanket I am really excited about.
And it's
It's
so cute, guys. If you have not seen it, it is so cute. I want one. You could start
We're gonna
selling
make you
them.
one.
Yes,
It'll
please.
happen.
We need some chill chats blankies while we
Ooh, that would
record.
be
That's
cute.
cute. All right,
I would
ideas,
need to make a
ideas.
pattern. I'm not that advanced. I did the very basic one, but we can get there.
Well, the very basic one was very cute.
Thank you.
So, I'm down for the very basic.
Thank you. Ashley, how about you? What are your roses and thorns for the week?
Okay, I will start with my thorn before we dive into my diagnosis story. Reliving this and feeling these feelings that I have not revisited in so long, it just brought back a lot of memories and a lot
It's
of,
hard.
yeah, it really is, and a lot of feelings. And thinking about little baby Ashley having gone through all of that, I just want to hug her. I just want to hug her and be
Mhm.
like, we got through it. And in the thick of it, I would have never thought that I'd be here right now today. And so, yeah, I just wanna hug her, and it brought back a lot of emotions for me, and it that's not necessarily a bad thing, it just was a lot, I feel.
I think it's really easy when we're living through it to kind of just like push it aside. We get through it, we dealt with it, but then going back and
Absolutely.
reflecting, like, holy shit, I actually went through all this stuff.
Yeah, it just is like, "Whoa, that's traumatizing." Like, that's a
Yeah.
lot, and you guys are about to hear it, so you let me know on the traumatizing scale where it lands, so thank you for that. My rose, I will say, after almost 7 years of being married, but we've been together 16, almost 16, BG and I are finally going on our honeymoon, and it's t
Woo!
I know, please clap. Um, it has taken us such a long time, but while you're listening to this, we are currently on our honeymoons. We are just so thankful for this. Traditionally, you get married, you go on a honeymoon. For us, and you're about to hear that story very soon, so keep listening, but life just got in the way. Chronic illness happened, and yeah, fuck cancer. All of that said, we're going on our honeymoon.
I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you, thank you. It's a long time coming, but a lot of our time has been dedicated to chronic illness and managing life. So it'll be nice to have some quality time together and celebrate 7 years of being married, 16 years together. Here we are.
I am so excited for you guys and that
Thank
you
you.
finally made it happen and are able to celebrate these big times together. And with that, Ashley, do you want to get into your diagnosis story?
Sure thing. Well, we're gonna have to take it way back. When I think about it in hindsight, I had symptoms in high school, but I always just wrote them off as normal. Like, yeah, numbness and tingling, everyone gets that. I remember in cheerleading camp, we were outside in the Florida heat and I was getting like this shiny vision. I was getting fatigued. I was getting dizzy. And I just thought it was like a heat exhaustion thing. But really, it was impacting my vision more than anything. And now, having been diagnosed, I understand that that was optic neuritis and or Uthoff's phenomenon. So, a doctor and I have talked about it that I definitely had symptoms in high school. My MRIs kind of are consistent with that. But I had no idea, I just wrote them off as normal. Fast forward to 2017, I had just had a knee surgery, because I had a meniscus tear for over a year. That was actually my first introduction to, like, medical gaslighting. I had taken a traumatic fall, and I just knew something was so wrong in my body, and every doctor I went to just told me I was young and that I would heal, and it was just normal, like, "Oh, you're fine. Keep working out. It'll heal itself. You're good." Come to find out that it was actually a meniscus tear that I had just lived with for over a year. And recovering from that surgery, I noticed that every time I would bend my neck down or look down, it would feel like a phantom vibration, as if I had my phone in my back pocket. I would just feel this buzz going down my spine. And at first, I thought it was really my phone. And I went to a chiropractor because naturally, that's what you think to do. The chiropractor checked me out and was like, "Yeah, I think it's a pinched nerve. You're fine." Cool. It didn't resolve anything. And then a month later, my husband and I traveled, well, fiance at the time, traveled to Italy where it was nice and hot in the August heat, and I just noticed my body just felt off, and I just wrote it off as that I was recovering from a surgery. It just felt off, but I feel like I've said that several times.
But it's the truth. I mean, it's just like it fell off. Like something feels off. You know something's off.
Right, and it's so weird to say, I think, like, it just felt off because it's like it doesn't sound solid enough proof. Does that make sense? I'm, like, saying, like, "I feel off," but, like, everyone's like, "You're fine." And so, yeah, I should be fine, but something feels off, and so it was really hard to explain, but we got back in at the end of August, and then in October, I remember the legitimate date, October 14th. I woke up with peripheral vision loss. So in my right eye, it almost was like a shadow. And I'm a little woo woo. I'm a dash of woo woo. So I'm like, I woke up and I was like, what is that? What is in the corner of my room? Like, what is happening? But it would move with my vision. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I kind of rubbed my eye. I was like, it must be because I slept wrong or something. It'll go away. I also had this insane pain every time I moved my eye. Like, if I looked to the left, if I looked to the right, it was just so painful, and I've never experienced that, and I had previously, in 2016, suffered from chronic migraine, had no idea what was going on there, so I knew what migraine pain felt like, and this was 10 times worse, in my opinion. I didn't know what else to do other than let it kinda ride out, so I was like, "It'll go away, it'll go away." A few days later, it didn't, so I made an appointment with my eye doctor, to which they told me I had glaucoma, which that didn't sit right. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
I did not know that. What the heck?
Yeah, they had no idea, Jenna. They were like, I think it's glaucoma." And I was like, "I think you're wrong." "Glaucoma?" Like, I'm 24. I'm telling you, I sounded crazy saying it. I was like, "I have a shadow figure in my right eye. I don't know what it is, and I have pain." And they were like,
That's the problem though, because it's like a normal eye doctor isn't trained to know about that stuff since it's neurological.
correct. So I left that appointment being like, okay, well, that's not it. And I don't know what's happening. And I had told them, I was like, I can't really see. It's impacting my vision to drive. And they verbatim were like, you're fine to drive. You're good. I was like, okay, no. I was like, I'm not. So I'm not going to do that. I made another appointment a few days later with the ophthalmologist because this was like an urgent appointment. So this was just, I don't know, an eye doctor. So I made one with the ophthalmologist where he again told me that I was fine and that I shouldn't be saying otherwise.
Really?
Yep. He's like, you're good. I don't see anything. I was like, oh my God.
But you're like, "Yeah, you're not seeing from my eyes. I see it."
Right. And I was so frustrated at that point. I was crying. I'm sure this is not helping. I just it wasn't like it ever progressed. It just stayed a shadowy figure in my peripheral right eye. Um,
Well,
but
that's
my vision
scary.
it
Like,
was
to
so
not
scary.
be able to fully see and also for them to be like, "Yeah, you can drive."
Yeah, you can drive and you're fine. I was like, "No, I'm not." And the pain was so much and my vision was shiny, and I kept saying, I was like, "It's shiny," and they looked at me like I had 8 heads, and I was like, "I'm not making this up. Please, believe me." So a few days after that, I actually end up in the emergency room because I had it up to here, and I was like, "Well, maybe the hospital can help me." And we all us spoonies know, and I mean, this was before I was officially a spoonie, but we know that when we make it to the hospital, it's like for real, for real. We are not there willingly, like, that's our last resort,
And
and you
usually
know
you
it's bad.
push off going quite a few hours until you actually go.
Exactly, like, you're like, "No, no, no, I'm fine." You, like, try to gaslight yourself into, like, "I don't need it, I don't need it, I don't need it," and then you're like, "I need it." But, yeah, so I get to the ER where they also told me that they have no idea what I'm talking about, and I was like, "Please." They put me into a CT scan that did not show anything.
I'm surprised they wouldn't have sent you to, like, the neurological part of the ER.
So, it was closed. Fun
Ugh.
fact, if you go to the hospital on the weekends, some things are closed, at least over here for us. They wanted to admit me. You're telling me that I am making this up. Like, you have said, "We don't know what's wrong with you. It doesn't sound like anything is, but we wanna admit you." And I'm like, "That's not good enough. I'm not staying here for you to just tell me that you don't
Yeah,
know what
like
I have."
yeah.
Like, no. That's not
You're like,
happening.
"I can be at home if you don't know, like, you're not gonna help me here."
Exactly. I was like, I would rather be in the comfort of my own bed than be admitted here. So I said no. I did get a referral for a neurologist. who immediately sent me for an MRI. My grandparents drove me to my MRI appointment. They sat with me, my nana and papa. I'm so grateful for them. They actually took me to a lot of my doctor's appointments. They took me to my neurologist appointments and everything. And because again, I could not drive. Despite all of these doctors being like, you're fine. You can see perfectly fine. I was like, I cannot. So I went for my MRI. It was a little scary. They did do it with contrast. My first experience, I didn't know what to expect.
Do you take the claustrophobic medication or no?
No, because when I first went through, I had no idea what to expect, and I wish I had been given a little bit more guidance on, like, "By the way, you're getting stuck into a tube, and it's a womp womp machine that's really loud," and they didn't give me music. They did give me headphones, but they gave me no music at the time. I didn't know I could ask for it. So it was an experience, but I was like, "This is a one and done thing." Right? Like, I'm just getting an MRI just to see what's going on. This isn't gonna turn into anything serious. And at the appointment, the doctor did mention multiple sclerosis, but in a way of ruling it out. Like, she at no point was like, "You are a strong contender for this. I believe you have it." It was "I'm gonna send you to an MRI." So I got the MRI done. I waited for the results. The results came in. It showed a bunch of white lesions, some active white spots. I remember it came up as white spots. And I did not look because at this time, I'm like, I don't know what my chart is, and I don't care for it, and I don't wanna look, and I had no idea. So I get a call from my doctor saying, "You need a lumbar puncture. We wanna just rule out multiple sclerosis." And I was like, "Okay, cool. What?" So I scheduled for the lumbar puncture. I had it done 3 days after my birthday on the 12th of November, and that's also my grandfather on my dad's side. That's his birthday, so I was like, "Oh, angel numbers and how lovely. It'll be, like, a great time." I had no idea what I was walking into.
Do
I
you
did
know at all
research.
what it was or no?
Yeah, I researched it before. Interestingly enough, too, when she mentioned multiple sclerosis, this was the exact time that Selma Blair was also, sharing her story, and I was like, "What? Like, why is this even being spoken of?" Like, I definitely don't have that because if you remember when she first shared her story, I was like, "I don't have any of that." I was like, "I do not have what they're talking about." So it even gave me even more of a false sense of security of like, "I don't have this." My doctor saying, "It's just to rule out." I was like, "You're right. You're right. It's just to rule out. I don't have this." And the lumbar puncture, the spine tap, I researched it and I was not happy about it, but I was like, "Okay, I can do this. I can do hard things. It'll be fine."
I would have been freaking out.
I yeah, I mean, I freaked out, but I was kinda like, "This is just going to further prove that I don't have this, so I'm good with it." LOL. Luigi came with me to the hospital, and they put you in this room, they make you change into a gown because it is like a procedure. It is a procedure, you're awake for it, and I wish I had more advocacy skills at this point. I really do, because the doctor came in with a student and said, "Today the student is going to do it." And I said, "Okay."
Are you serious?
Yeah. I wish I had said, "No, I don't want a student working on me." Like, I understand that it is necessary. It's part of practice, right? Like, they have to do it in order to learn, and I completely understand that, but I wish I had said, "No, I'm not comfortable with that," because you are within your right to say, "I'm not comfortable with that. I prefer a doctor to do it." And that's totally fine because fun fact, I don't wanna scare anybody because a lumbar puncture, listen, is really not that bad, but it is a long ass needle that goes into your spine, and if, which she did, if they go out of alignment, your whole body gets sent into, like, a tingle, like, freaking spasm, and she went out of alignment from, like, where she was supposed to go. My entire right side of my body just zinged, and it did not stop until she moved it back, which was a hot second, and I was just breathing. Also, by the way, they put the camera, it's kind of cool, but also kind of like, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. They put what they're seeing right in front of you, so you can watch, and I was
Pass out.
watching.
Mm-mm. I would pass out.
I was told, like, to breathe, but, like, not breathe too much. Again, I had a student do it, so I wish I didn't have that experience, but I do. It is one of those things that is not necessary now, but it was back then in 2018. It was part of the common practice to diagnosing multiple sclerosis. So, I do have a spine tap underneath my belt. Super fun. Again, it was just to try to rule it out. Right before my birthday on November 9th, my vision did come back. So I did the spine tap with my vision fine, which even furthered my denial because I was like, see, I don't have MS because I'm fine now.
I've had a lot of people DM me that it's like, "I don't have symptoms anymore. I don't understand how I have this," or things like that, and I think that's a really hard thing for people to comprehend that it's like, "Oh, I can still have this even though I'm back to normal."
Yeah, the remission part is a really difficult thing to grasp. When we know something is wrong with our body and we're in that relapse, we get it. We're like, "Okay, yeah, something's going on." But when we're in that remission, it's like, "See? Everything's fine. Like I told you, I'm good. I don't have this." I totally feel that. It's a really hard thing to comprehend. So I didn't hear anything for about 2 weeks, and this is the really super cool part of my story. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, you know that Wednesday where everyone's, like, at the stores, like, grabbing last minute things because Thanksgiving, everything's closed, and you're just, like, freaking out. I get a call from my pharmacy saying my Copaxone script has not been approved by insurance. I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure you have the right girl?" I was like, "I don't even know what that is," and they were like, "It's a multiple sclerosis medication." And I was like, "No, I don't have that. I haven't even heard from my doctor. I haven't talked to them about medication." And at that exact moment, I get a call from my doctor's office. So I'm like, "Okay, I gotta go answer this and figure it out." I answer the call from my doctor's, and it wasn't even the doctor, it was a nurse. The nurse had the nerve to tell me, "Your results are consistent with multiple sclerosis." And I'm like, "What is that? I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?" And she said, and I'm gonna say it just how she did so everyone at home can hear it. You have MS.
Are you serious?
Dead ass. I literally was like, "Okay." As if that cleared up absolutely anything. I just naturally began to spiral. I blacked out, honestly. I probably couldn't tell you what came after that part because I just remember that and that's it. And I just was like, "Okay." 1, I thought it was so inappropriate for a nurse to tell me. 1, how she 2, how she told me was awful. 3, I didn't even know that this was again on the board. It was always like "We're ruling this out. I don't think you have it."
Also, like, how did they send a prescription without even talking to you or telling you first? That is crazy.
That part, literally. I was not consulted, which is it's double-edged sword, right? Because sometimes we talk about how when we're first diagnosed, we're, like, thrown, "Okay, well, these are your options. Tell me which one you want." But then on the opposite hand, it could be, "I'm not even gonna consult you, and I'm your doctor, so I think you should take this, and you that's it." So I got that version. I was told what I needed to be on. So immediately, I don't trust my doctor anymore. I didn't like how I was spoken to. I immediately am like, "No." I fall into such a denial because remember, this entire time I'm like, "I don't have this. I don't have it." She even said, "I don't think you have it." I went back to the eye doctor because after Thanksgiving, I did lose my peripheral vision again. That shadowy figure, kinda like black spot came back. So I went back to my doctor and I was like, "Well, my neurologist thinks I have multiple sclerosis. I don't think I do, but also my vision is lost again. So what's going on?" And he hands me this book, and I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's actually to test color blindness, and you see, like, the numbers written, like, kinda
Mhm.
like in a different color. Okay. So he hands me this, and he goes, "Tell me the numbers you see." And so I do, and I read them all, get them all correct, and he goes, "Hmm, usually people with MS can't do that, so you don't have
What?
MS." I know.
Wait, what? I've never heard that before.
I don't know. I do not know. It's crazy, right? So he's even furthering my denial. He's like, "You don't have MS because you can do these magic color numbers." And I was like, "You're right. I don't have MS because I can do magic color numbers." Yes. Again, I'm in denial.
Did
Dead
no
ass
one
denial.
did no one send you to an optic neuritis
No.
doctor?
He did
Or not an
mention it at
optic
that time.
neuritis, that is not what it's called.
No,
Oh god.
neuro-ophthalmologist.
Yeah,
There's one a part of the practice, but he vaguely mentioned it, but was like, "I don't think you need it." Like, it was a very, like, "You don't have this." And I was just like, "You're right." Like, I fell into such a denial, and none of the doctors that I had at that point were helping. Again, remember, my neurologist, I don't trust her anymore. I'm not going back to her. I never spoke to them again, period, after that. And I fell into research. I was just like, "I'm gonna research everything to help myself." And I started reading about rats taking alpha lipoic acid and how it can help rebuild, the nerve endings and help with numbness and tingling. So I started taking things, vitamin D, and how deficiencies can really cause a lot of problems. So I started falling into that. And I put myself on a whole ass supplement regimen. I was like, I'm taking all of these things. I'm taking turmeric for inflammation. I'm taking X, Y, and Z. We can have a whole episode on supplements because that's my love language. This is furthering, like, I can do this myself. I can do this naturally. And I don't have multiple sclerosis, period. And I waited until the end of December for an appointment with a new neurologist for a second opinion. My mom and Luigi were with me. I just had like people with me because everyone around me was like very supportive and just kind of like, we need to figure this out. Especially my mom, who has a background in medical and also has her own set of diagnoses. So they're with me at this appointment. And this neurologist is looking over my MRI that shows multiple tiny white spots, some active lesions. Again, I have no idea at the time what that meant. I just remember he was, like, reading it. He tells me, "Yeah, you definitely have multiple sclerosis. Anyone could see that." Those words. Exactly. He said, "Oh, you definitely have multiple sclerosis. Anyone could see that." So not only did that make me feel like shit, but it it punched me in the gut because I was like, "Oh, so I really do have the thing that I really don't feel like I have." And I just remember crying, and I don't like crying in front of people, so I try to hold it in, but I just remember I broke down. The first thing out of my mouth was, "Can I still have kids?" That was my first question. I didn't care about anything else. I said, "Can I still have kids? Is this gonna impact fertility?" And he said, "No. You will live a normal life. You will be okay. There are so many medications out there now, but I cannot be your doctor for it." Oh
What?
my god.
What the heck?
At the time, I was really aggravated because I was like, "1, I waited a month for you. 2, now you're telling me I do have this thing, but I need a different doctor." But in hindsight, I'm so grateful. And I think that there should be more doctors like that because my original doctor, my original neurologist was just a regular neurologist. It's not to say that you need an MS specialist with multiple sclerosis, but it is recommended because neurologists, they focus on a wide range of things, whereas an MS specialist is so niched and really just focuses on MS and can really help you with that. So at first, I was really aggravated, and now I'm really thankful because even though it led me to not a great person, but it eventually led me to my angel doctor, who I love and praise all the time, and he's just been such an angel in my journey.
Oh, that doctor was an MS specialist then.
No, he was just a
Okay.
neurologist. He was just a neurologist, and he said he was like, "I don't feel comfortable treating MS, so I think you need an MS specialist." But I asked him about the supplements because remember I had been researching and I put myself on everything, and he was like, "None of that can help you. Only treatment. That's all you need. That's the only thing that can help you, and you need a specialist." And I did not agree with that. I was like, I'm gonna take that as a grain of salt because ever since I started the supplements, my vision did come back. I forgot to mention that before, but my vision did come back, and I was able to go to this appointment with this neurologist and feel okay. So, again, that added a layer of ouch because I was feeling fine, and I was like, "See, I'm good. I don't have it." And then he was like, "No, you have it."
I can't imagine how hard that had to be from having doctors tell you, "Oh, no, you don't have it," to then hearing that. Like, just like, you're already confused yourself, and then if you're getting a confirmation that you don't have it, just to be like, "Oh, yeah, you do have it," that'd be
Yeah.
so hard.
It was it rocked my world in the worst way. I left that appointment, I got in the back seat. I couldn't cry yet because I called the MS center that was local to me and made an appointment, which I had to wait another month for. So, it was now another month of me in this, like, limbo of, "Okay, well, now I'm still in denial a little bit, but, like, I have to accept it." So now I'm kind of moving from that denial stage to anger. I'm upset. I'm like, "Did I do this to myself? Where did I go wrong? What could I have done?" Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. What could I have done? And I'm just in those stages of grief.
Question though, the what could I have done or like why did this happen to me? What did I do is so real because it's like, what did I do to cause this? And at the end of the day, nothing. It just happens sometimes and it sucks, but it's hard to not go there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a human feeling and we have to feel that. Like not everyone, if you didn't feel that, then that's just totally okay. But if you are feeling it, there's nothing wrong with that. We have to explore those feelings and it's a process. And so I waited a month for this MS center specialist. It's now January of 2019. Yeah, 2019. So, while I was officially diagnosed in November of 2018, I did not actually come to that acceptance part or, like, at least start warming up to the acceptance until January of 2019. My first appointment was interesting. She was not very nice. I'll just say that, not very nice. My mom and Luigi were with me again, and my mom traveled from down south to where we are, 3.5 hours, just to be at this appointment. And my mom, again, she has a medical background, and she had been researching the shit out of multiple sclerosis. And it was one of those things that she came with a binder, and she had questions, and she had like, "Okay, well, what do we do? What does this mean? Blah, 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 blah." And this doctor interrupts her and is like, "Where did you get your medical background from? Google?" Like, "Oh." And I'm like shocked. I'm surprised my mom let that fly because she's from the Bronx, okay? I think we were in this, not like our backs were against the wall, but we were also like, what the heck do we do? Like, we can't keep postponing, we can't find a new one, so I was just kinda like, "Okay." So I had questions, and I'm just asking her things, and she literally would laugh at my questions. She would be like, "Ugh, that's not a thing." Like, I remember in December, we were in San Diego, and it was so cold, and my hands started getting frozen in like, place, like Lego hands. Like, they would cramp like this, like crab hands, and I would call them my Lego hands because I'm like, "I can't move my thumb," and it would, like, kinda cramp, and I was just so cold, and I didn't feel right. It was one of those things that I didn't feel right, and now I know it's because I have a cold intolerance as well as a heat intolerance, super fun, but I told her my hands are cramping like that, and she laughed at me and was like, "That's not a thing."
I had my first neuro. There were things that, like, I read online that could be attributed to MS, and there are things and she laughed at me and was like, "That's not it." Like and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, "Why can't you at least just hear us out?" Like, just because you have some opinions doesn't mean that your opinion is the only right opinion.
Exactly, and she literally told me to relax. Like, from my question, she was like, "You need to relax." She was like, "It's not that big of a deal. You'll be okay. We just need to start treatment. You need to tell me what you wanna do." And I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Okay." She just kind of kept pushing my concerns to the side. So, I mean, I, on one hand, am, like, seeing how, like, multiple sclerosis is, like, a huge, I'm being told it's incurable, I'm being told it's, life-changing, which it is, it's a life-changing diagnosis, and she's telling me it's not that big of a deal. That was so unhelpful. She was just, I guess, in a totality, a great word for this appointment was unhelpful, but I also felt like I had nowhere else to go, so I stayed, and I needed to start medication, and I needed that path. So, we kinda, like, sat on our hands, held our tongues, which was really hard for us to do, but we did it. She told me I needed to go on Acathar, which was a gel steroid instead of doing a steroid infusion. That is a whole story within itself because I had to do
Wait,
at-home
wait, wait,
shots.
wait, a gel steroid?
Yes, so it's actually Acathar, it's like kind of like a natural steroid, and it comes in a little vial, and you self-administer it at home instead of taking pills or anything else. So she suggested Acathar. It's a shot. I had to put it in my stomach. Yeah. It was not fun. And it was funny because my mom, who has type 2 diabetes, who has, I mean, lived her entire life giving herself shots, was trying to teach Luigi how to give me a shot. And it was so funny. But yeah, so she told me I needed to go on that and also told me I needed a new MRI and that I needed to choose a medication. It was a lot. I left feeling so defeated and unsure of what I was supposed to, like, tolerate, and on one hand, I'm like, "This is not okay." Like, I don't appreciate how she spoke to me, I don't appreciate how I feel, I don't appreciate how I felt like I didn't have a voice, and how my concerns were laughed at and pushed to the side, and I felt in my gut like something was wrong, but I also, on the other hand, I was like, "I need to move forward. I need to be on a path of another MRI and choosing medication." So, for now, maybe she had a rough day, let's continue with her because I just didn't know any better. I didn't know any better, but I knew I didn't like her. Let's be clear. If it's a means to an end and I can at least use her to get on medication, then that's what I'm gonna do. So I tried to convince myself that it was the best place that I could be and just move forward with that. The next appointment, spoiler alert, was even worse. The MRI that I had done showed 4 new lesions. So from the end of October to beginning of February, I had grown 4 new lesions.
Were they all active?
Yes.
Did you have a spine one at this point?
No, she didn't even check my spine, just the brain. At the time, I had 25 white spots on my brain. Not all of them were
Wow.
active, but 25. Yeah. People are always really surprised by that, but I will say they're like
Small.
thumbtack size. Yeah, they're very, very small. And location when it comes to an MRI is the most important. So obviously, the bigger the size, the more area mass that it can affect, which can lead to different symptoms. But for me, they were so small and thankfully missed a lot of primary locations. The MRI obviously showed stuff. She dismissed my concerns once again, disrespected myself, my mom, and Luigi, which if you've met him, he's like the nicest person ever. How are you going to disrespect him? But again, I decided to go on Gilenya and I needed her to give me the script. So for the sake of starting treatment versus waiting several more months for another specialist, I decided just to let it be. Right before Valentine's Day, I actually lost complete and total vision in my left eye. So you can
That is so
imagine
scary.
it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. Not only did I have pain, but my vision started slow too, which this is the really painful part of the story because it started slow. It started with I felt the pain that I had felt with my right eye and I was like something's wrong. I need my neuro ophthalmologist, which I had already established. So I set up an appointment with him and I was like, something's wrong. I feel the pain behind my left eye, and my vision is kind of weird and shiny. I feel like I'm losing it. So they have a way of checking. And he was
Mhm.
like, yes, this is the beginning of optic neuritis. You need to see your neurologist, and she needs to get you on steroids. I said, cool. So I asked for a copy of the report. He's really great. I love him. He sends my doctor a report as well. So I have a copy for my own medical records. He sends her a copy for my actual records with the doctor. So I call up the center for a appointment and they're like, "Well, we have nothing for another month." Okay, great. So I have to wait another month. So we're in
Didn't it
March now.
triage you?
Nope.
What? Like, my neuro clinic will have triage appointments if
Yeah,
something
because
comes
that
up.
makes sense, right? For something active
Yeah.
and for a patient who just showed 4 already active lesions on an MRI. I'm with you. So I still have no vision. I waited for this appointment. This appointment was goes down in history as the worst appointment of my life. Not only is she rude as per usual, as if she cannot be bothered to be there. Like she's annoyed that I'm here. And I'm like, I'm annoyed I'm here too, girl. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be here. Okay, we can agree on that. I
Hate
was just
that. Like, especially I've had nurses with, like, infusions that seem annoyed that we're there, and I'm like, "I don't wanna be here any more than you do."
exactly. We're on the same page, babe. We both don't want to be here. I get it. Please, let's just get through it. So I'm there because I have now at this point lost complete vision. What does that mean? That means that I'm looking at faces and I can only see half. Like they're swirled. It's looking like a Picasso painting. Like it's just like it's not right. It's not normal. I really can't drive now. I really can't do anything. I can't watch TV. I can't read. I can't see. And it's impacting my quality of life, and I've waited a month for this appointment. It's not getting any better, and she tries to gaslight me and tells me that I'm faking it.
Did she not look at the optic neurologist's report?
So interesting that you say that because she was looking at a report.
Not the right one.
No, do you think it was the one when I went in December just to establish with him as a patient and he said that my vision was fine because it was, because optic neuritis in my right eye had resolved itself. She was looking at the incorrect report while doubling down on me, telling me that, well, this says you can see, so I don't know why you're here. I will never forget these words because they have permanently scarred me. They play in my head every now and then. But in that moment, when you're so, I don't want to say fragile because we're not fragile, but delicate. I was delicate. I could speak for myself. I was delicate because I'm like, my life as I envisioned has been turned upside down. And I'm trying to navigate this. I'm trying to find a new normal. I'm trying to wrap my head around this diagnosis, and you are not helping. And you're also telling me while I can't see half of her face, that I'm fine. I can see. I have perfect vision. And she has no idea why I'm there wasting her time.
I just have no words. Like, of course you're gonna feel just defeated.
Defeated. So fun fact about me, when I get past a certain point, I just shut down. I will stop talking. I won't say another word. You're not going to get any reaction out of me anymore. Period. I have my medical records, so I take out the form. I hand it to her. She refuses to take it, so I'm holding it. I'm silent. She on her own computer finds it, opens it up, and she goes, "Well, fine. If you want steroids, then we'll just do steroids." She just nastily Is that even a word? She's just
It
like
can
a
be
bitch.
words.
Instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, I apologize. I was looking at the incorrect report." She never acknowledges that she looked at the incorrect report. She just literally goes, "Well, whatever you wanna do."
That is wild.
As if I was badgering her for steroids, as if I was like, "Please give me steroids." No. She goes, "Fine, I'll send the script." Like, cool. So I leave. I, again, have not said another word to this woman. I have not said another word. My mom, the champ that she is, calls up the office in down south and is able to get me an appointment. Now I do have to wait. So now we're in April. We're in the
And you
April
haven't
range.
started treatment at all at this point?
No, you're right. I did. I had started Gilenya. I started Gilenya, I think in March. So it was very fresh. I did start Gilenya, but again, I started a treatment while in a flare, and it just was a concoction of a terrible storm. I think back to that time and I'm just like, wow, I tolerated a lot with that. I was able to get in with an MS specialist and he sent me for a 5-day steroid infusion. Thankfully, my vision did come back fully. I'm very happy to report that. I know that's not always the case, so I'm very thankful. But it was really scary. And like, of course, that was my first introduction to a steroid infusion, which we all know how I feel about steroids. But I met with him and he was a breath of fresh air. He was everything I think an MS specialist should be. And I hope that everyone finds their angel doctor because he sat with me, discussed my MRI images, showed me the positioning of my lesions and what they would mean and what this correlates to, actually showed me that I have a lesion in the middle of my optic nerve because your two optic like your eyes meet into
Mhm.
one space in your brain and my lesion is right on both. And that's why I had optic neuritis in my right eye and my left eye. He explained that to me like this is what a doctor should do. He also validated my Lego hands. He said, "Yeah, it's because you have a lesion in this area and that's why that happens."
It's crazy how a doctor can make such difference.
Such a difference. I'm telling you right now, please, 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 if you do not love your doctor, if your doctor is rude to you, please know that there are better doctors out there, and if you're in a position to fire your doctor, do it. I'm telling you, like, sometimes you have to doctor shop. Listen, this was my 4th opinion, and I went in and I was so scared, and at this time, I started sharing my journey online, and I was so scared. I was like, "This could be my 4th opinion, and I'll need a 5th one." Like, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm so thankful it went so well, and I've been with him ever since. A doctor can make or break I think your experience. I really do feel that, and especially a doctor's office as well, because sometimes the office staff can also make or break your experience if the doctor is really good. But I will say I will always tolerate a not so great office staff for a really great doctor. That is one of my rules. It would be a perfect world if everything just aligned and the staff was great and the doctor was great. But if the doctor is fantastic, I'm traveling however, like I literally drive 3.5, I don't say my husband literally drives me 3.5 hours for this neurologist. He has helped me so much and he's brought back such a quality to my life and I'm so thankful for him. So, once I find my angel doctor, Luigi and I decide we're going to get married. We're done waiting for the right time. Like there's never going to be a right time. So, we are planning a wedding. In the middle of all of that, Gilenya stopped working for me. And what that showed as is that my cells started climbing again. And because my doctor was closely monitoring me, we were able to catch it. And we did talk about a more aggressive treatment option, which would be Lemtrada. So we wanted to get married on November 11th. And we had to kind of juggle like, okay, well, if I'm switching treatment, then I have to do it at this time. And we want to get married and all that stuff. So it was stressful.
It's hard that you have to make your life decisions around treatment.
Absolutely. This is an added layer that most people don't need to talk about. You don't have to think about that. But here we are trying to juggle treatment and when do I start? I have to stop Gilenya. There's a weaning off period. Did you know? You have to stop their previous medication in order to start the new medication and get blood work. So it was a whole thing. But 2 weeks before our wedding, my husband tried to like take the spotlight from me and
The way you say that.
listen, only one of us needs to be chronically chill. But 2 weeks before our wedding, my husband did end up in the hospital. Long story short, because this is his own story to tell, but he was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. He did need to get his entire thyroid removed. It had metastasized. So they tried to remove as much as possible, but he did need radiation treatment afterwards. So 2 weeks before our wedding, he is getting his thyroid removed, diagnosed with cancer. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" It was a whirlwind. We end up getting married, and we're so thankful because that could not have happened without our amazing tribe of people, our support system, our vendors, like everyone was just so kind and loving. And it was just really great. We needed that. Like we needed something to look forward to. We needed something to keep our spirits up. He did go through radiation treatment. And at the same time he's going through radiation treatment, I'm getting off Gilenya and I'm preparing for Lemtrada in January of 2020. And like, if you look up Lemtrada or if you've done Lemtrada, please let me know what your experience was. It is not for the faint of heart. It is a very aggressive form of treatment. I started treatment in January. The 5 days was a little tough. The first 3 days I was okay. I was okay. But 4 and 5 were really, really tough. The following year in 2021, I had 3 days and I took that way better than the first year.
And that's an infusion, right?
Yes, this is an infusion. It's an 8.5 hour day at an infusion center. Super fun. I had so many activities and yeah, so that was intense, but I did have 4 years of remission. I will say in 2023, I knew the risks of starting Lemtrada. I just didn't think that they would apply to me because I am Delulu. I do think I have a bit of delusion in me. And while I knew that it could affect my thyroid, I just was like, not me. It won't happen to me, but it did. On New Year's Day, 2023, I actually ended up in the ER because I thought I was having a heart attack. I swear my heart wouldn't stop palpitating. It turned out that my TSH was 0.03. So that was hyperthyroidism. They told me I needed a endocrine, which thankfully we already had because of my husband. So I get an appointment. Lo and behold, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is another autoimmune condition that attacks your thyroid. And also, we were trying to conceive. Family planning has been at the forefront of every decision we have literally made. So that was one of the things and the big deciding factor. And my endocrine believed that surgery was the best path forward. And I had researched it myself and I decided to get a scarless surgery in Tampa. And I had it completely removed, but I have no scar because they went in through like my armpit.
Oh,
And yeah, it was really, really cool. I mean, not that I got to see it or anything, but in theory, how they explained it to me, it's all robotic. And I thought it was just so freaking cool.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Definitely look it up. But I have zero regrets of taking my thyroid out. Now, has the journey of trying to balance my thyroid hormones been tricky? Yes. Yes, it has, but I do not regret it because in theory, Graves' disease is an autoimmune condition that attacks your thyroid. So if you take your thyroid out, it has nowhere to attack. And I've been focusing a lot on inflammation and trying to help my body and trying to, you know, be a healthy vessel for future babies and all that kind of stuff. So I don't regret taking my thyroid out whatsoever. But this does lead me to 2024, where I had the most persistent eye twitch known to man. And anybody out there who has had an eye twitch, you know, or any facial twitching, what a pain in the ass that is.
It's so annoying, especially the eye.
It is the worst. Like, and like, you don't even like, sometimes like people can't see it, but you feel it and you feel crazy because you're just like, oh my God, don't look at my eye. And they're like, I can't see anything. And then sometimes they can see it. And like, it was awful. It was so persistent that I messaged my MS specialist and I said, something's happening. Like, I have this eye twitch. I can't get rid of it. No matter what I'm taking, magnesium, nothing. I just don't know what's happening. He's like, let's get an MRI just to be safe. Those famous words, just to
I
be
hate those
safe.
words.
Before, I believed him. I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right, just to be safe." Now, I am so triggered by those words because lo and behold, I get my MRI done, and I remember because it was a Sunday night, and I was sitting on the couch, and we had just finished dinner, and we were about to watch a movie. It was a scary movie because I love horror movies, and the dad has multiple sclerosis, and I'm like, "I should look at my MRI results. What's the harm of it?" So I look, and the words I read, just I could cry still thinking about it. All I could see were progression, active lesions, MS activity. I just stared at it and I was devastated because again, I have been in remission since 2021. That was my last treatment I had done.
It had to be so nice to not have treatment for quite a few years.
It was so nice. I call it blissful remission. So I was completely devastated. I messaged my neurologist that night and I said, I messed up. Won't do that again. But I did look at my results and I am freaking out. Please help me. So I get a call from the office and my nurse is like, can you be on FaceTime? Like he fits me into his schedule. Again, angel doctor. I love him. He calls me and we're talking about our options. He knows that being family planning is at the forefront of our minds. We're talking about what we should do, what needs to be done. He mentions a steroid infusion and I'm like, please no. He's like, it would be helpful. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys know how I feel about steroid infusions. I was sobbing. I was a mess. I was so upset. ultimately we did decide that I needed to think about a different treatment. Like, was Lemtrada an option? Yes, but the risks were just a little bit too high for me to entertain a third round. So I had some work to do. He was like, I'll send the script for steroids. This is all Monday, and my local Walk MS event is that Saturday. And I'm like, what are the odds that I'm learning about this on this week? I posted on social media. I was like, I don't know if I want to go to this walk because I feel almost ashamed. Like,
I remember that.
yeah, I was like, I don't wanna go. I feel so silly and so sad and so, like, why would I go to an event where I just don't feel like I wanna be at right now? And so many people were like, "I think you should go." So, it was just my husband and I, just Luigi and I, we went, and it was the most beautiful event I think I've ever gone to. Like, I got to speak to representatives, I got to see what was out there, I got to be around a community that just uplifted me, and I felt so much better for going, and I'm just so thankful that I actually went outside of my comfort zone because I could have stayed home and I could have wallowed, which I definitely gave myself space to be. I cried every single night. Like, I definitely allowed myself to feel and be in my feelings, but I'm also happy I pushed myself out of that zone and got out and got to an MS event because that gave me strength. Like, I felt uplifted by the community, and it was such a beautiful thing. So beautiful that I actually was chosen to host last year's, the 2025's Walk MS event, and it was just so awesome, and
It
I'm
was
so
so
thankful for
special.
it.
It was so powerful to see you too, because I was there.
Thanks. Yeah, it was also the same time that I had the Chronically Chill Club retreat. Girls from all over the nation flying in. We stayed together. We had an Airbnb and it was just so beautiful. I just feel like it was one of the canon events. Me deciding to go to the walk, even though I was just told I relapsed, had to switch medications, and it was such a confusing time and I felt lost. It gave me purpose once again. This diagnosis and something that could absolutely and did crumble me also gave me some purpose, and I'm so happy that I went, and I'm happy that it all worked out that way. The energy alone was just so contagious, and it was exactly the uplifting mood that I needed. It's also really cool going booth to booth, and I was able to gather as much resources as possible and talk to these representatives and kind of see what path I wanted to go down, and really connect with the community.
I think it was really special because I was very nervous to go to a MS walk. It is something that I had heard of and was curious about, but I was very scared to go. Hearing Ashley talk about it, and I know she had shared how nervous she was to go, especially everything she was going through. Just seeing her do it despite what she was currently going through gave me enough power to go through and experience it myself. And it was honestly such an amazing experience to see people in my local community with MS and show up with their support and want to help better the lives of others going through the same thing that we are going through. Because at this time, I had never seen or met anyone in person with MS before. It's just a really special experience, and when I got to go to one with Ashley with the retreat in 2025, and that was just an even more special experience to be with a larger crowd of people showing up and supporting people. I'm really grateful they put on these kind of events.
Same. The energy alone is just so contagious and powerful, honestly. So if you haven't gone to a Walk MS event, we're not sponsored yet, but I would highly encourage you to do so.
Also, at the one that we went to, someone got proposed to at it, and I thought that was just really special because I was at the time where I was really struggling with feeling like someone would wanna be with me with my MS, which is a whole 'nother topic for a different time, but just hearing the guy's speech about his future wife,
It was so
it
beautiful.
was so cute and just so inspiring to see that our life isn't over because we have this disease.
No, that you are still worthy of love and the right person is going to be by your side no matter what, through thick and thin. And it was just so adorable. Again, these events are just so impactful on multiple levels. I definitely recommend one on a resource level, two on a community based level. Like the importance of community is so underrated. It is so cool to go out and connect with people in your area. So, highly, highly, highly recommend. Actually, at that event is when I connected with an Ocrevus representative and learned about the luncheon that they do. In case you didn't know, many pharmaceuticals will host oh my god, I turned Canadian. Many pharmaceutical companies will actually host free luncheons where they give you free food. If it's free, it's for me. while you listen to a doctor speaking about the medication. So they inform you what it is. It's not your doctor, not your specialist, but they're like, this is the risks, this is what it does, this is why it's, helpful, this is what it's done. This is the research, this is how long it's been around. And it's just super informative. You also get to talk to someone who's been on it for many years and, ask them questions. And it is, again, an opportunity to connect with other people.
I was just gonna say how when we were at the walk, the guy that had been on Ocrevus, he was like, "I've never seen so many people in one group on Ocrevus," and he just couldn't believe it, and it was so cute because he was just, like, so excited because he was like, "Oh, it's a trio. Oh, it's quadruple. It's"
Yeah, wait, was it Ocrevus or oh, wait, no, it was because of
Yeah.
Ocrevus, that's right. Yeah, that was so cute because we were all part of the Chronically Chill Club, and we all had our shirts on, and then he was just like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen so many in one group," and we're just like, "Yeah, it's us."
He was so excited, it was so cute. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, but
No, it was that was a I forgot about that, so thank you for bringing that up. That was really, really cute. So, I went to this luncheon, and this is back in 2024. So, the walk that we were talking about is in 2025, but back in 2024, before I was deciding on a new medication, because remember I had just relapsed, and also about that relapse, it was called an asymptomatic relapse.
which I didn't know was a thing that could happen.
Me freaking neither. A whole new fear unlocked. So you're telling me that I could be relapsing without any symptoms? And my doctor was like, "Yeah, it's asymptomatic relapse." And I was like, "That's not fair." Like, no, I rebuke this. That is just not okay. So even though I had the twitch, which is technically a symptom, I didn't lose my vision. I wasn't numb. I wasn't anything. So I had a really hard time in the middle of this week and even at the Walk MS event accepting the fact that I had relapsed and that I was in need of choosing a new medication. So when this luncheon opportunity presented itself, I took it. I went, I listened to what they had to say, but I did my own research and, I weighed the pros and cons. I asked everyone in my life. Of course, I'm asking my husband, who's been there with me through everything. I was getting everyone's input.
I remember at the time too, because I was on Ocrevus already and, like, you even asking about it because it's, like, it's such a big decision to make, and there's so many different areas that you gotta think about, like your family, if you wanna have kids, is this the right thing? And you really did ask around.
I did. I was like, "Tell me your thoughts. What are the pros? What are the cons? Like, help me." And I really heard from everyone and everything. And then at the end of the day, I did decide to go on Ocrevus. It was primarily for the family planning. It just fit better in our timeline. And I liked what I was seeing. So I agreed to go on it with Ocrevus. I started it, the first infusion, they break up into two. I had probably, if you can believe it, one of the most traumatic experiences ever.
And she's not lying with that.
I am not lying. If you followed me in 2024, then you probably know what I'm talking about. It was awful, but I think that that deserves an episode within itself because it is a lot. It is a lot. But what I will say is that I have been on Ocrevus for the past 2 years. It'll be 2 years in May for my next infusion. So while it was a very rocky beginning of my Ocrevus story, I am happy to report that I am doing well. My MRI showed no progression, no new lesions, and that my lesions actually shrunk, which was a huge moment for me because I was so nervous. Like, Jenna, you remember
She called and it was a whole
it was a whole
thing.
thing because I was like, "If this shows progression, I'm done with this, like, I'm not gonna stay on this medication." This was last year, and I remember I had my appointment with my MS specialist. Said to him, "I feel like the most MS-y I have ever felt in my life, and I don't like it. I just don't like how I'm feeling." And he noted it, and he was like, "Okay, well, sometimes it takes some time for Ocrevus and all that kind of stuff." I'm like, "Okay, I'll trust you." So I did another round, and this is where I really fell into an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, anti-inflammatory diet. I hate saying diet, but kind of like just focusing on foods that will nourish my body instead of inflaming it. And I really fell into fighting inflammation and understanding what that looks like for MS specifically, but also chronic illness in general, but in terms of my own body. And I was so inflamed. And so, aside from Ocrevus, I do feel that inflammation played a big role, but not getting into that whole rabbit hole because I could talk about inflammation for freaking
That you did the work. I mean, I think that was the biggest thing with that results, and I know we talked about it on the phone where I remember you being like, "Okay, so if this does show something, what I'm doing is not working." But it's like it just was reassurance that the changes you've made lifestyle-wise, eating and treatment was and is working for you. I think that is the
Mhm.
biggest thing because yes, we have treatment, but treatment isn't the only thing we need to be doing, and we need to take care of ourselves outside of that too.
Yes, I agree with that, and I remember saying those words too. I was like, "If this shows progression, then that means everything I'm doing is not working," and I was spiraling. It was really difficult for me having an MRI show me that I was in a silent relapse when I didn't feel like I had relapsed. So I'm almost like, "How am I gonna trust myself?" Because if I went into that MRI in 2024 feeling like this is just to make sure. This is nothing. Like I'm fine and it's going to show nothing and that's okay. And then it showed something and I was like, "Okay, so I can go into an MRI feeling good and then it'll show progression. Like that's not fair." Then going into this MRI a year later, I was freaking out. I didn't know what to expect because I had put the work in, but I was like, if this doesn't work and that all this work was for naught, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna lose it. So when I got the results, I did look. I vowed to never look again, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look. And I waited for my husband to get home. And if you didn't see it, you should go to my channel and watch the video because I did record it because I knew that either way it was going to mean something. And I wanted that moment for my own personal record. Everything I share is also just for me to go back and watch and kind of keep a digital diary in a way. I remember that I shared my results and I'd read no progression. The fact that I had a lesion shrink and this lesion was 15 by 8 millimeters and it shrunk to 9 by 4 millimeters. God is good. I know that I had prayed on this, I had worked on this, I changed treatments, and it was all the things kind of came to a bottleneck moment where I was just like, oh, okay, so wait, everything I am doing is working. So my spiral moment, like I freaked out, but it worked out in the end. Listen, I'm gonna freak out about it first. I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna panic, I'm gonna complain, I'm gonna do all those things, and then we're gonna figure it out. That's just kind of who I am.
And it's also, I feel like, a normal experience. And MRI results, I think, are a whole nother topic in its own. But sitting there and looking at the MRI results alone is really hard because you're going to open something that's going to change your life no matter what. It can mean the path that you're on now is working or it's not, and you're going to have to change it. And there's so much behind opening up MRI results to begin with. And I would be curious to know, do people wait until they talk to their doctors before they open their MRI results, or do they just open them on their own once you get
That's a
them?
good question. I am curious. So let us know in the comments because I would love to know what your experience is. It's so true. There's so much weight behind an MRI because, like you said, it's either going to be, okay, this confirms that what I'm doing is working, cool, or okay, this confirms that what I'm doing is not working and we need to do something else. We need a new plan of action. And I think that even though one of those options sucks, that it is still going to help you in the long run. It is still necessary and it is still part of the journey and don't be afraid of getting those results. Don't be afraid of going into an MRI because answers are helpful. Like all of it is going to lead you to something that's going to better you. So don't be afraid of them because listen, I'm afraid of it. I put off my MRI. I rescheduled it 3 times, okay? 3 times. Or was it twice? Did I
But
reschedule it
Ashley and I had a thing where I was like, "Well, since you rescheduled, I can reschedule." And she'd be like, "No, you can't." And I'm like, "But you did, so I can."
because okay, but then Jenna was like, "I'm gonna reschedule my treatment." I said, "No, you can't do that." And she's like, "Well, if you're gonna reschedule your MRI," I was like, "No." So we both held each other accountable. She didn't reschedule her treatment. I didn't. I think I only rescheduled it twice, and that would have been my third time. But I said, "Fine, I won't do it if you're not gonna do it." So she did her treatment. I did the scary MRI womp machine, and we're both better for it. Thankfully. I mean, there were high highs and there were low lows throughout my chronic illness journey because at this point, there's other diagnoses mixed in there. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything because I know that every single one, even the lowest of the lows, helped me become who I am today. And I need this version of me. I don't know what the Lord is preparing me for, but I know that I am being prepared for something. And because of that, I accept the high highs and the low lows. Sometimes I think about my mom and all the medical stuff that she's gone through, and she has helped me so much throughout my journey because she went through it herself. And so that's something that kind of carries me through the really difficult parts is that maybe I'm going through this so that I can help my future children, my nieces and my nephews, whatever it may be, I can help someone else. And I think a common thread that we talk about a lot here is just this kind of gives me a little bit of purpose. So again, those high highs and those low lows, I wouldn't trade them. Now I get to share my story in the hopes of helping others feel seen and less alone. And maybe they look at this and they're just like, you know what? My doctor and I don't get along. So I'm going to fire them. I'm going to keep looking for a healthcare team that supports me.
And I think that's really important. And I appreciate you for sharing your story because even though I've known you for quite a few years, there's a lot of details that I didn't know about your story that honestly shocked me.
I kept this to myself because a part of me, I think, was a little embarrassed by how much I tolerated and how much I was gaslit and how much I didn't know. So I kept it to myself. While I shared, my story on social media, I didn't feel vulnerable enough in that moment at, 7 years ago to share with everyone. But now I think I'm in a position where I can look back and be like, geez, that was really not okay. And now I'm sharing it. So yeah, there were a lot of things that people don't know that you're gonna learn about me. So be nice, please.
Which your vulnerability can only help other people. I'm sure there's other people who have had silent relapses or bad experiences with doctors. You're not alone in that. I think it's really helpful, and I'm glad that you're here sharing your story. Your experiences can only help other people feel less alone.
Thanks, Jenna. I appreciate you. I will wrap this up by saying that if anything you take away from my diagnosis story is that there are good doctors out there, okay, that care about you, that will explain things to you, that will not make you feel crazy. You can fire your doctors. Remember, they work for you. As a healthcare team, you guys are supposed to be on the same team. I feel like sometimes we forget because there's a go, go, go with managing a chronic illness, but you are worthy of compassion from everyone, your pharmacists to your doctors to the nurses to any person along your journey. You are just worthy of that. I want you to remember that it sucks, but it doesn't suck 24/7. It doesn't rain forever. And it's a little cliche, but you know what they say, April showers bring May flowers.
It's funny you said that because as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, like you can't have flowers without a little bit of rain.
Really, I mean, truly, that is something that does help me process a lot of the shit that I've gone through is like, okay, it's not going to rain forever, or maybe this is going to help me sometime in the future. Is it a little delulu? Maybe, but it helps me. And so I hope it helped you too.
You're making purpose out of what's happening and making a meaning out of it.
Yeah, I'm freaking trying. I want you to remember you know your body best. Do not let anybody ever tell you any differently. And take your time deciding whatever path you're going to go down, whether it's holistic, whether it's a treatment, whether it's a little bit of both. Because I think something about me that I've always been very open with is that I'm a little bit of both. I do understand science and treatments, but I also understand supplements, intentional movement, and lifestyle and choices and things that are within my control. And I'm going to focus on them and I'm going to try my best. So, taking your time deciding on that and knowing that you can change your mind at any point. I just want you to find your own path. There are a million people with a million opinions out there, but you got to research for yourself. You have to trust your gut. You have to know that whatever you're doing, whatever path you go down, whatever results happen, it is all for the plot and it's all going to be okay.
I also feel like MS is a snowflake disease. So, what you're going through, others may not experience, and you cannot just do something because someone else is doing it. You need to find your own path and not listen to everyone else's opinions. Do the research yourself and figure out what is best for you.
Exactly. And I took to my community. I said, guys, what medications are you on? Help me out. Tell me your experiences. And that's all gathering resources, gathering information. Do that. Reach out to other people. But know at the end of the day, you are in charge of your decisions. Don't let other people sway you. You can and you will get through it. Genuinely, you can and you will. Well, that's my life. That's my diagnosis story. And I can't believe even all of that information, like things that I have not told anyone. And unless you were there, you wouldn't know. There are still so many little tiny stories that I could dive into. But those are all things that can come later. Next week, we're going to be talking about Jenna's diagnosis story. We can compare notes and see how similar we are. I guess that's it, right?
That's it.
Until next time, I'm Ashleigh Rose. You can follow me on Instagram at arose.
And I'm Jenna, and you can follow me at MS with Jenna.
Thanks for listening. Love you, mean it. Bye.